there are just a few things in life that are for sure. Death, taxes, and a whole bunch of movies with Zendaya.
Yeah, it's getting to be a problem. Audiences are absolutely sick of seeing Zendaya in every single movie. Recently, a list of all Zendaya's projects for the next year was posted, including Shrek 5, in which she plays Shrek's daughter. That comes out this year. Then The Odyssey, directed by Nolan, coming out in 2026. Then Spider-Man 4, also 2026. Dune Messiah. She was not a great supporting role in Dune 2. So I don't know if I care for that. And then still to be announced when this comes out, but they're working on Euphoria season 3. I have my own doubts that that's ever even gonna happen.
See, what the thing is, guys, is somewhere along the line there was some type of grave mistake made in the space-time continuum, and we got stuck in this era of both Zendaya and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
And I kind of say, it's like you'll live in the pod, you'll eat the bugs. It's you'll live in the pod, you'll watch the Zendaya.
Right.
You'll live in the pod, you'll watch the Pedro Pascal.
People feel like they're being forced to watch Zendaya and they don't understand her appeal. I saw countless tweets to this effect. One said, Zendaya... a huge part of the complaint here regarding Zendaya is that they believe she is unattractive and ugly, actually. I disagree. I don't think that she's ugly. She's not like Grace Kelly or something, but I don't think she's unattractive. I do think she is above average in looks, at least enough to be a star. But here one says, Zendaya is homely at best and has zero charisma.
So rude.
I don't get it. Have you noticed everything is ugly now? And then
okay, so no, there's an argument
this
to be
is
made that
communism. This is what they want for us. We will own nothing and like it.
I think the point is that she's always making the sour face.
She does have a resting bitch face.
And I have a more nuanced opinion as to, we can get into all of that, but I think I know why, at least in my opinion, it might feel forced on people. So I did like a chart. I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, who are the most overexposed actors working today? And if you go through a list like this, it's got The Rock, Chris Pratt, Timothy Chalamet, Florence Pugh, Zendaya, Jenna Ortega, Pedro Pascal, Ryan Reynolds, and Margot Robbie, Tom Holland. I think the reason why Zendaya is rated so highly there is if you look at most of those names, there's a quintessential project that makes you understand why they're as famous as they are. They have something to their credit that says, okay, we get how it started and it snowballed out of control, maybe.
Sure.
Like, okay, The Rock was really great in WWE, but we didn't know he'd use his forces for evil and become, this dude who's absolutely everywhere. Chris Pratt, people love him because of Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I mean, they didn't even include, I think of Chris Pratt kind of in the same way as like a John Krasinski. But Chris Pratt is way more overexposed than John Krasinski is. The thing is, when it comes to Zendaya, there isn't like a project that people look at her and say, she was great in that. Now I get it. I get why casting directors, because that's the idea, right? So a casting director says okay, they were fantastic in this, so I think it would translate here. Nobody looked at MJ in Spider-Man and was like, you know what? She'd be a great Chani.
Right. That's a good point. And it might just be because she's still pretty young and that hasn't happened for her yet. That movie,
but she's not that young. She's been around since the Disney Channel. That's the problem. So they're looking at a decades-long career.
Sure, but maybe the movie that proves her chops as an actor just hasn't come around yet. It's just like,
then she gets a
at
second
a certain
coming.
point, how many chances can you get when no one likes you in Dune, in Challengers, in Euphoria, all these things? I was first introduced to her on the Disney Channel, and I feel like the main problem with her acting is that she still acts like a Disney Channel star. Like, she never grew out of what they train you to do on a kids show where there's a laugh track that paces everything. When you watch her in scenes from Euphoria, this is a somber, dramatic show with deep, really dark subject matter of drug addiction and abuse and all of this different stuff. And she is delivering her lines as if there is a laugh track that's about to happen afterwards. And she makes these cartoonish faces, especially this one, like she just smelled something like really nasty.
Yeah. The funny thing is that's what they did with her in the Spider-Man trailers. And it was almost like they knew it was because she was from Disney, where she's the last bit of the trailer where the title card hits and then they have it comes back for one more quick scene. She was that in the Spider-Man trailers because it's basically like a laugh track. To Machinist Point in the chat, he says she is Jai Courtney. I actually have Jai Courtney on here, as there was a time when Hollywood was like, you will take Jai Courtney. I don't care who you are. You're going to watch something with them in it. Kind of in the same way that they were trying to make Scott Eastwood a thing. At a time, they're like, well, people love Clint Eastwood. Certainly Scott Eastwood. And both of those actors have kind of found their niche in a separate realm of Hollywood. I don't think that they're bad actors even. I think, oddly enough, Jai Courtney found his rhythm when he was in DC as Captain Boomerang, right? Where he gets to play like a drinking bad guy who's kind of a dick, and that was where he's good. Like, that's why I liked him when he was in the Jack Reacher movie, because he was a bad guy, not attempting to be a hero. So it was good. The problem is she doesn't have that movie yet, and maybe people feel they're like, look, you've been around for like a long time. It's not like this is your first go around.
If you haven't managed it by now, maybe you just don't have what it takes.
But also,
and it's also strange because she's not the recipient of nepotism. Like, at least for someone like Zoe Kravitz, you could say she has payola vibes.
She's also not that...
And she's not that good either.
She's not that good either.
But Zendaya didn't have a leg up in that way, aside from coming off the Disney pipeline.
But another thing is, though, like, in this day and age, we were going to talk about it this week. We just never got to it, about Maya Hawke and Ethan Hawke talking about studios not wanting to hire you outside of a certain follower count on Instagram. I think there's also a gap in the idea of social media influence and whether you're good on screen, right? So the studio doesn't care. The studio wants you to have that many followers because you can reach a bunch of eyes that can then theoretically watch your product, right? But if that's the only reason you're getting hired, the people that are there for the movie and not to follow a celebrity or a social media influencer are going to be like, why are you here? That doesn't make any sense to me. So it's like a two-pronged approach from the studios to try and draw eyeballs in. But the problem is, when you do that, somebody is always left annoyed.
Right. The Zendaya fatigue discourse gets resurrected on a pretty regular schedule, but I think that it came about on the timeline once again after the Shrek 5 trailer dropped the other day. And here were some of the responses. It finally happened. I don't need to effing see Zendaya in any more movies for like the next 5 years. Yeah. Enough of Zendaya. Guess Zendaya is the new actor/actress they shove into everything to the point you get sick of them. I'm going to stop watching anything with her. You're giving us Zendaya fatigue. The way Zendaya is in every movie ever, actually pissing me off. There's no way it's just her in the market. And some people were pointing out, like, aren't there other actors in her age range that you could give a chance to, right? Like someone up and coming who costs less for you anyway and is more... well, I guess the point being Zendaya is not a box office draw.
No.
She doesn't actually draw people into seats.
I mean,
despite the fact that
I don't
she's
think
an
Jenna
A-list.
Ortega would draw people into seats either, and she's much more likable than.
She probably brought people to watch.
Beetlejuice?
No, not. Well, Beetlejuice, yes, but there was also the one that she did with Martin Freeman.
Oh, but nobody went to see that movie.
It was a small budget movie though, so it made its money back.
The I just don't know if any, like, these days the idea of the person that's, they don't operate under that premise anyways. Like, they don't operate under the box office draw premise because they're hoping that the IP is what draws you to the film. Look at all of these products.
That IP being Shrek?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I'm so tired
but look
of
at all
everything.
this. So Shrek 5 IP, The Odyssey is Christopher Nolan. He's the draw. Like, he's one of the few directors that's the draw.
Well,
for
and
his
there's
movie.
a huge cast of like
literally,
big names,
pretty much everyone is in that movie.
Yeah.
Like there's maybe one actor left in Hollywood who's not. Jai Courtney's the only one not in that movie.
That's an ensemble cast.
Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man is the draw. I wouldn't even say Tom Holland is the draw. Spider-Man is the draw.
Yeah.
Dune became its own thing, and Denis Villeneuve is his own director. He's not a Christopher Nolan, but
I mean, Timothée Chalamet is more of a draw than anything.
Dune is a very big brand, given the previous films and the books and everything like that. And then Euphoria, I guess you can't really make that comparison because TV is not the same thing as movies.
Right, and the first season of Euphoria was a huge deal, especially because people were watching it during lockdowns, and she was the most famous person that they got for that cast. Other people ended up surpassing her, like Sydney Sweeney.
I'll tell you what she needs to do. You know how I always like to give advice for Meghan Markle? She needs to do something that is so against character.
Like what?
She needs to play like a bubbly, nice person in a movie. There has to be a movie that she's made where the director goes, resting bitch face is out. Nothing in this film.
Yeah.
You are light. You are happiness. You are kindness. I don't care if it's a romantic comedy. I don't care. Like, go do a Hallmark movie.
Like, even in Challengers, this was some weird, dramatic love triangle where she's there, like, she's like some kind of mistress who's like doming these dudes who are also gay, and it's like sinister. Can she do a rom-com? Like, is she capable of that?
Without making this face
without doing this.
And I'm not trying to be rude to her. I'm literally trying to give her advice. I'm like, the thing is maybe it's not that you're overexposed, it's that you're stale.
She's getting typecast
in the
a
way
little
that
bit.
you're in the way that you're presenting yourself to the media. So you're gonna have to do something really, really different if you really want to catch people's eye. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, here's the thing. Most actors, they talk about not wanting to get typecast and doing different things. I think that's what Glenn Powell is doing really, really well by not falling into any realm specifically about the type of roles that he's picking up. Even Jenna Ortega is getting typecast a bit, and she's the kind of goth girl. Like, oh, you're making something gothic horror? Well, I mean, she's going to be in it, right?
Right. I mean, maybe that's what she wants. It's clearly working for her.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but like maybe that allows her to like reinvent herself later as something else.
She's also a former Disney kid.
Yep. So
but the point about her having the resting bitch face and that playing into the types of roles she gets is poignant, because I saw people pointing that out. One person said, "Can you stop with Zendaya? Enough. She's not pretty, not a good actress. We're done with her resting bitch face." Another one said, "I'm truly repulsed by Zendaya. She has an anti-charisma aura so strong she ruined the otherwise respectable Dune 2. But that's the way that they changed her character as opposed to how she was written in the books.
So it makes people
so
ask,
that it would work for her.
Yeah. That makes people ask, like, did you just not know how to portray the character in the books, or were they just willing to change it because you're not capable of giving that performance? It's also why this meme doesn't, that's one of the reasons this meme doesn't actually work. Seth Rogen actually has a body of work in his younger years that people feel really, really fondly of. So he's not the same thing as like a Pedro Pascal or a Zendaya, where people are like, what? Like, people can be sick of him for their own reasons because he's annoying and because he's stupid, but they can't take away the successes that he had early in his career. So now people are like, well, I can't take away Zendaya's successes because I don't see any of the stuff that she's done as inherently successful because of her.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal definitely seems like a psyop too.
Yep. It's so funny. So, because Olivia watches so many old shows with me that I've watched 100 times, she's like, is that Pedro Pascal again? Like, this was like 2014. What the hell is he doing here?
He's been putting his work in.
Well, and
now it seems like he's just getting propelled to a level of stardom that isn't deserved based on talent.
He's the
or charisma,
opposite.
Just because there are no other options available in the industry right now of a similar demographic.
He is the opposite of Giancarlo Esposito, who didn't get his big break until he was in his 30s or his 40s. And now he's just in Captain America Brave New World. He's in everything, but he'd been acting for decades, but Gus in Breaking Bad was really what broke him out from the rest of the Hollywood mold.
Yeah.
I don't really have a Pedro Pascal performance that broke him out of the mold from everything else.
He's not even, let's be real, he's not even in The Mandalorian. He's not even in it. Yeah. They could be using AI to get his voice lines, for all I know.
Like, people like Giancarlo Esposito way more than they like Pedro Pascal.
And as they should, because he's objectively more talented.
Oh, a far more talented actor. Yeah. Like,
deserved the big break. Pedro Pascal did not, but it was just right place, right time. I'm
telling you, Zendaya, go and do like a bubbly romantic comedy, something. You know what? No, I don't even want to put that.
What?
I'm going to speak it into existence.
No, I want to know.
No, she would be too old now. So they're. I just saw yesterday that they're remaking A Walk to Remember. And in A Walk to Remember, the main character played by Mandy Moore, it was a Nicholas Sparks book, turned into a movie, is her father is a Christian pastor, and she is very religious, and she falls in love with the boy, and she's a very sweet person. Go and play that role. No resting bitch face. Now, of course, she's going to get cast and everybody's going to come flame me because I'm the bad guy here.
You manifested.
I manifested it. But I'm telling you right now, find a role like that. And even that might be, because that's actually still a dramatic role. Mm-hmm. And they're probably going to do something to make it less awesome than the original was. I do love that movie. Don't at me. It's got to be something even more like over the top. Like nice, over the top bubbly, over the top fun. Like,
couldn't agree more.
Just don't put her in Legally Blonde.
No
hair dye.
For the love of all that is good and holy, please.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.